Hello there, people of the internet. How's everybody doing today? I'm doing alright, thanks for asking. Before we get started, attention YouTube reviewer, which I'm sure is going to be watching this video, this is a semi-automatic rifle, not a machine gun. This rifle is in full compliance with YouTube's community guidelines, and this is a 20-round magazine, also in full compliance with YouTube's community guidelines. This is not a standard capacity magazine. As you can see, it is quite a deal smaller, so got that out of the way. Alright, now, hello there, people of the internet. How's everyone doing today? I'm doing alright. Thanks for asking. So, the other day, not too terribly long ago, Ian from Forgotten Weapons made a video about Utreon, and I've heard of Utreon before, and I've heard it pop up several times. And I never really thought about getting involved with it until I really started learning what it was. And essentially, it is YouTube that gives you more money and does not deal with censorship. YouTube has become very well known for its extreme prejudice towards firearms and firearm channels and firearms ownership and basically anything that has to do with guns and gun-related accessories. Now, that is their derogative. They're under a lot of political pressure right now. It's just the nature of the beast with what we have to deal with. And it's not necessarily YouTube's fault that they're having to deal with all this stuff. I mean, it's probably just a select few people running the platform that has to, deal with all sorts of political stuff. And there's a huge push against firearms ownership right now. And that's, like I said, that's just the nature of the beast. And as a result, YouTube has become, woke, and it is turning anti-gun. And it's not as anti-gun as people make it out to be. Like, people think that just because you show an AR or something that you're immediately going to get, like, arrested and detained and sent to Guatemala or something. Yes, I said Guatemala. But if that was the case, if I were to show off something like this right here, hey, hi YouTube reviewer, semi-automatic, not an actual machine gun. If I were to show off something like this right here, most people think that because I'm showing off something like this on YouTube, they'd think that YouTube would freak out about me showing something like that. But because it is within YouTube's community guidelines, I can show something like that and not only show it, but get paid for it. The odds of this video being monetized is actually pretty high, because I am in compliance with their guidelines and following their rules. Now, that being said, there is a lot of issues that come with YouTube. Specifically, they prevent you from really growing the way that you should grow. There's a thing that YouTube does called shadow banning. They will deny it all they want, but it is something that absolutely happens, and I see it regularly with this channel and the several other channels that I collaborate with. We all talk about it. We have seen it. It is something that totally, legitimately, absolutely happens, and this is what it looks like. Every time I get a video that's doing extremely, exceptionally well, it will do very, very well for a little while, and then immediately it will just get cut off, and I will completely stop seeing any kind of views whatsoever. And this happens basically with every video I have that starts doing exceptional, and that is intentionally designed to stop people like me from growing, that go against the political agenda that is currently in power. Now, I believe that later on, as time progresses and YouTube stops having such intense political pressure on them, that these issues will begin to really subside, and we won't have near as much pressure on firearms content creators as we have with this administration. That is just my own humble opinion. Now, Utreon does not have such political pressures, and as far as they're concerned, as long as it's legal to do and safe to do, don't go doing something incredibly stupid and whatnot. As long as it's legal and safe, then hey, go ahead and go have fun, make your video, put it up. They're not going to censor it like YouTube does. YouTube has become incredibly bad with their censorship and their shadow banning and whatnot. I was thinking that they weren't going to try targeting me because I'm such a small-time channel, but boy, oh boy, was I incorrect. They absolutely are targeting small-time channels just like me to prevent us from becoming big. And I've actually got myself a list of video ideas that I've been wanting to make, but I will not make and put on YouTube, just because YouTube is becoming more and more politically sound with everything it is that they're having to deal with. We got some kind of plane or something above us, and it's making some background noise. I'm probably going to wait for that to go away. You know what? On second thought, I can make noise too, buddy. You want to make some noise? Let's go ahead and make some noise on this YouTube video. YouTube Revere, 20 round magazine. I've only got 10 rounds in it though, because I am a small channel and I'm not quite able to grow yet. So we're gonna send some rounds downrange, why not? I basically just peppered the steel target down there. Every time I hit that steel target, because it's just kind of sitting there in what has essentially become a divot in the concrete from shrapnel and whatnot, every time I shoot it, it sinks down a little bit more. And every time it sinks down, it gets harder and harder to hit. So every so often, I got to go down there and readjust it. All right, our plane is moving away. I've got a list of content that I want to make that I'm not going to make because of YouTube's, woke nature, and I don't necessarily want to do anything to make them upset. So I'm going to go ahead and not put up these videos onto YouTube. There's plenty of other people out there to put up videos and whatnot on YouTube. So these are going to be Utreon only videos. So if you want to see these videos, I recommend going to check out Utreon. I'm literally just starting on it. I just got approved like last night, so these videos still have to be made and uploaded, and the content is still being imported to Utreon. It's going to take about 10 days, etc., etc. Utreon, though, you can follow me for free over there and watch my videos, watch this content, etc., etc. Or you can subscribe to me for, I forget, some incredibly small amount of money. And that will actually help out the channel. If you want to help out the channel, go subscribe to me on Utreon. And that will be a significant pushback and help me actually create the content that I'm wanting to create. Because, I mean, I'm small time and my budget is very minimal. And as a result, I got to load a 20 round magazine with 10 rounds, and that's just what I'm dealing with here. All right, Utreon specific videos that will not be on YouTube. My thoughts on ATF rules. The ATF is doing a lot of things that they should not be doing right now. They're non-elected officials trying to make laws. I'm not going to go into that right now because I don't want YouTube to get upset with me. And YouTube is very much under the, under Uncle Sam's fist right now, just like the ATF is trying to push this agenda. So I understand YouTube. I'm not going to go ahead and make any comments on that. That's going to be a video specifically for Utreon. Carrying in places that you should not carry. Not places that it is illegal to carry, but places you should not carry. You should not carry. That's a video that I'm going to go ahead and make for Utreon and not YouTube. Rogue agencies doing illegal things. There's a lot of illegal laws and illegal pushes being done by rogue agencies that go against many things, and politicians are trying to pass illegal laws and whatnot, especially after the Bruin situation with the Supreme Court, and just politicians are blatantly ignoring it, and we're going to have one hell of a serious situation, but I'm going to go ahead and talk about that in depth on Utreon. I want to talk about how quickly Americans forget. We've had, this massive crowd of people buy guns by the absolute surplus with the pandemic and the rioting and the panic buying and all sorts of just nonsense that has happened in 2020 moving forward. A lot of it, just political nonsense and fear-mongering and whatnot. And those people that went out and bought guns in absolute mass basically sold them off after the fear had died down and went back to saying nobody needs these guns. I'm going to go in extreme depth on that one because I have some really good examples on that. That's going to be on Utreon. I'm going to talk about how the wealthy are the ones making laws to disarm you while they themselves are arming up. I'm going to go into my reloading. I do a lot of reloading for the channel here because I use a lot of guns that you can't necessarily find ammunition for very easily. And I do a lot of poor man's reloading, and there's a lot of tips and tricks and whatnot, and like reloading on an extreme budget. But I can't show that stuff on YouTube, so I will show that off on Utreon. Firearms manufacturing and just how simple it is. I won't actually be making any firearms or not anything that is extraordinarily complex or illegal, but over there on Utreon I will show just how simple and whatnot it is to make some of the things, like for example the World War II Sten machine gun. Go in depth on just how simple that thing is and how easy it would be for a wartime economy. Let's say, we were back in World War II, how a wartime economy could make a lot of those very easily, very quickly. or potentially something as simple as like a pipe shotgun or something like that. Just very simple, easy to manufacture firearms, and just the history behind them for the wartime economies during the Second and First World War, but First World War not so much because they didn't have everything quite figured out. I'm also going to go in depth on gun rights and gun right groups and things like that. Things that I don't necessarily want to bring up on YouTube just because they are dealing with, like I said, the political pressure it is that they're dealing with. And that's just a small list. That's like the highlights of the things I'm going to be working on first. I got a lot of content for Utreon that I'll be going ahead and getting done to go ahead and throw on there that will not be on YouTube. Like I said, you don't need to pay anything to go watch those videos, but if you want to support the channel, by all means, you can go ahead and subscribe to me over on Utreon, and I get a kickback from that. Utreon takes like significantly less money away from me as opposed to YouTube. So bear that in mind, subscribing to me over at Utreon. Have I been saying Utreon? I think I've been saying Utreon. I might have thrown a Patreon in there at least once or twice. Patreon is not what I'm talking about here. I'm talking about Utreon. Patreon is going anti-gun as well. But Utreon would be a fantastic way to support the channel and help me grow in a way that YouTube is just absolutely not letting me do. And I am determined beyond all reasonable doubt to get this channel up and growing the way that I actually want it to grow. So Utreon will be a very good way for me to do that, and it's also a really good way for me to put up the videos that I want to make that I just can't make for YouTube because they're under extreme political prejudice. Well, extreme political pressure with extreme prejudice against firearms and gun channels. So that's the nature of what I'm dealing with, and I kind of figured I'd be putting up with this, but whenever I started the channel in 2017, none of this was nearly as bad as it is right now, and there's a lot of scary stuff going on, especially with the rogue agencies doing illegal things that they should not be doing and trying to strong arm their way. You know what? I'm gonna save that for Utreon. I'm not gonna go into that with YouTube. So thanks for watching, folks. Hey, YouTube reviewer, I know YouTube is under a lot of pressure right now. I definitely get that, and being a lowly YouTube reviewer, this is not necessarily something that is your fault or your choice. But just know that me and other content creators, we definitely get it. We don't agree with it, but we definitely get it. And you gotta do what you gotta do. So I'm doing what I have to do, and I'm putting up the stuff that I want to put up, the actual spicy, good, interesting content. The stuff that makes people like grit their teeth. I'm covered in silkworms. This tree has a lot of silkworms on it. The stuff that really makes people get fired up. That's going to be on Utreon because YouTube here is just not a good platform for it. They're too trigger happy whenever it comes to bumping people off and shadow banning and whatnot. So very interesting stuff coming to Utreon. I'm definitely excited about it. Ian from Forgotten Weapons is the one that actually made a video on it and got me interested, and then I looked into it and I got in contact with the people over there at Utreon, and they were like, hey, guess what? We would love your firearms channel on Utreon. You've been approved. We're going to import your stuff, and I apparently have a subscriber base now, and if whoever subscribes, I get a freaking kickback from that. So yeah, Utreon is apparently, you know, big thumbs up. If you haven't checked out Forgotten Weapons, then what rock have you been living under? Go ahead and go get some gospel from Gun Jesus himself. I'm gonna go grab something to drink because I'm freaking very, very thirsty. You guys go off, have yourself a fantastic day. Thanks for watching. Subscribe, like, share. Description down below has a link to all sorts of stuff, including Utreon. I will go ahead and put a Utreon link down below so you guys can go ahead and go check it out. And I will include a Utreon link in basically everything it is that I put up. So I actually have to go figure out how to do that. You guys go off, have a fantastic day. Been a little while since I've done this. Bonnie and Clyde be damned. Poor man's Garrett. It's a shame that bolt action shotguns aren't more mainstream.